Now, one important thing when we are discussing these HCM sessions, see, HCM is a large. When I say it's a large, like there are a lot of things in HCM, and a lot of things keep on adding every day by workday. So today there might be some new feature, tomorrow there might be some new feature. The thing is, it is impossible to go through each and everything, but what you will learn in this particular course is those concepts, those are like absolute core, which are absolutely required. The rest of the concepts or rest of the features or rest of the functionalities is something that you can explore by yourself or as on a need basis. And it is very easy once you understand how the workday system architecture is designed. um, you will start to see patterns around how things are set up in workday. So once you understand some of the core functionalities, all the other functionalities, especially in HCM, it is easy for you to go and set it up. You will have access to community. You can go and check the community documents, the how things need to be set up based on your requirements. You can check community. You can check Workday's official documentation about that particular feature, and then you can set it up. Even I do that even today. So even at my level, I might not be knowing each and every single functionality. So sometimes if I don't know, like, hey, how do we set it up? So if I'm doing it for the first time, I just go and check, and then it's easy to just set it up because like I said, this particular system is a configurable system. Everything that you need to do is already available in this. It's just about how you configure it. So that is all about it in workday. You just need to know what are the functionalities that exist in workday and how do you configure it. If you configure it, what are the impact of it? So let's start with organizations. The workday's architecture. When I say architecture, this is how workday is set up. Everything, since workday is a cloud platform, and um, the database is obscured from you. So you what you're seeing is a from you can log into the system from a browser. Now whatever details, whatever information that you are entering into workday, you are not seeing the database. Actually, the database is on a cloud platform. This is in an AWS. Okay, so this is in AWS. You are not seeing how the data is stored in Workday, how the data is retrieved in Workday. You don't have to worry about those details because all that is it is abstracted from you. You don't have to worry about the writing any statements or writing any specific SQL functions to retrieve data or send data. Workday is going to handle it for you. Now, how this particular data is stored in Workday is it is stored in the form of objects. Everything in Workday is stored in the form of objects. So there will be multiple objects in Workday. We call it as business objects. Okay. So let's say worker is a business object. Okay. This is a worker is a the worker type is a business object. Now for worker, there might be a lot of information within the worker. For example, the hire date of the worker. You have the name of the worker. So this all comes under personal data, like name, address, all that contact information. You have the financial information of the worker, like bank data, the compensation, etc. So there is a lot of information which is again related to the worker type. Okay. Now when it comes to hire date, this is of a type date. Is a date type object. This is of a text type object. There will be again financials, again number type objects. So everything in workday is of some type of an object, and there are objects that are related to each other. So there are related objects. So this is how workday extracts data. So let's say you are extracting you're extracting the value of this particular object from Workday. Okay, Workday, you and currently you have Workday does it this way. So it looks at this particular object, and from this object, it is going to this, and then relatedly, it will extract it value from here. Now, the reason I'm explaining, although you don't have to worry about how Workday extracts and retrieves data, there is this, you need to understand some part of it, like what are the different types of instances in Workday and how those instances work for creating reports. So this is important for reporting, because for reporting you need to know how to extract the data. So there are some delivered reports in Workday. There is some way of also, if you search for something, you'll be able to see it. But if you want to extract multiple types of data into a single Excel sheet, like a Excel kind of a format, like in a report like this, so you should be knowing how you can extract those values using the different Workday fields that are available. And we will discuss about reporting when we touch upon reporting in detail. But this is what you have to understand. Workday's architecture is object oriented. So every single information, every single thing that you put into Workday, it is considered, it will go into some object in Workday. So there are multiple objects in Workday. Whatever data you input, it will just go and sit in the relevant object. And we did discuss about some navigations around how do you navigate in Workday. So you can go and search for whatever task or whatever thing that you want to look for. You can just basically go here and search it, and Workday will give you the list of items that match your search criteria. This is the notification, this is the inbox. So we did discuss about all these concepts. Okay. Now today what we are going to discuss is organizations in Workday. So what are organizations in Workday? Organizations are like the basic building blocks in a Workday. So when you are implementing Workday, you have to set up different types of organizations in Workday. One of the important, or one of the basic and absolutely necessary type of organization in Workday is supervisory organization. So supervisory organization is the basic building block in a Workday. Now, what exactly is a supervisory organization? Whenever you are hiring an employee into Workday, you will be hiring that employee into the supervisory organization. So this is where the employees are hired. So if you are going to set up a Workday system, and if you want to hire an employee, you have to first create these supervisory organization. Now, if you remember, we did discuss about organogram in Workday. Every organization will have some kind of an organization structure. So when I say organization structure, you will have like the top structure. The top will be the leadership, like the CEO. So you will have like the CEO sitting in this particular area, and then under the CEO you will have the chief of staff. So there will be multiple chief of staff like this. I'll just say department head like this, DH, department heads. Now each department heads will have multiple directors under them. So directors, there will be multiple directors who will be reporting to that particular person, and each director will have multiple senior managers. So you can see that an organization structure is forming like this. Under directors, we'll have the senior managers. Under senior managers, we'll again have managers. Managers will again have employees. So now you can see there are multiple levels this way. So you can create this kind of a structure, and all the organizations will have a particular reporting structure. So like who is reporting to who. So the entire supervisory organization structure in Workday is configured around the reporting. So if let's say there are 10 employees who are reporting to one manager, there will be one for every single manager in your company, there will be one supervisory organization that will be created. Now some companies have a very different way of defining what exactly a manager. A manager is someone, so there is a difference between manager and lead. A lead is not a manager. A manager is a manager, somebody who manages an employee or a group of employees. Lead might be leading a few employees, but that doesn't make that person a manager. So when you are setting up Workday, you and especially when you are helping a client with the supervisory org structure, and if you are designing the supervisory org, you have to first go ahead with understanding like what is their current reporting structure looks like, how many managers they have, how many people report to whom, and based on that you have to determine like how many supervisory orgs that you need to create. Okay, so let us get into the tenant and start creating a supervisory org. So today we'll be discussing these details. So an organization. So basically an organization is used to group resources, workers and costs for a particular business function. So what does that mean is, so one is supervisory organization, which we use. So supervisory organization is where we will hire employees, and you understood how we define a supervisory org in terms of how do we design it. It is based on who is reporting to who. So if let's say there are 50 employees, and for every 10 employee there is a manager who is managing them. So 10 employees like this. If we have it this way, this is how the structure is going to look like. There will be 10 supervisory organizations. There'll be 5 supervisory organizations, sorry, like this. Each organization will have a manager assigned to that organization, and each of these organization will have 10 employees. Now these 10 managers, now each of these managers will also be reporting to someone, right? So there can be a scenario where for every 3 managers there is one supervisory org. So all these 3 managers might be in one supervisory org, and there might be another manager who they'll be reporting to this way. So this is how we will group different employees under one organization. And supervisory organization specifically serves a purpose where if you are hiring an employee, you will be hiring those employees into the supervisory organization. Let us go into Workday tenant and configure a supervisory organization. So this is how you configure a supervisory organization in Workday. Create supervisory. So this is a task that you will use when you are creating a supervisory organization. Okay, now it will ask you to enter the reorganization. Now reorganization is nothing but um, it's a date. You have to select the effective date of when you are making this change, and you will use reorganization object to track the changes in the organization structure. So here I will go and create a new reorganization. Create reorganization. I'll name it. Um, let us call. Let's name this organization as. Let's say Amazon is the company that we are setting up. Okay, Amazon reorganization. I'll choose a date of, let's say, 1900. Now you might be wondering, why did I choose 01/01/1900? So in Workday, when you are configuring different objects in Workday, if you don't have a specific date from which you want it to be available, meaning um, if you want a particular object to be available from forever, like you want it from the day this particular system has gone live, then in that sense you will be using the reorganization date as 11/1900. Basically this particular reorganization is available in this tenant from 1/1/1900. But if you have a specific effective date availability saying this organization that I'm configuring, it should only be available in my tenant starting 1st of January 2024. If that is the case, then you will enter the value called 2024. Okay. But if you don't have any specific date criteria around from this particular date only, I wanted to see these changes. Now, if you are not understanding what exactly I mean by effective date, let me show that to you. So let's say you are creating an object in Workday. Let's say you are hiring an employee. When you are when you're hiring an employee, you will be giving a hire date, right? So let's say an employee is hired on 1st of January 2024. You have another employee who was hired in the month of 1st January 2023. If you check the the number of employees as of the fiscal year 2023, you will not see this particular employee because the hire date of this employee is 2024. Similarly, when I'm creating a supervisory organization, from when you want to see this particular supervisory organization in your tenant, if I want this to be available from a very specific day, then you will enter that specific day in Workday. It can be 1st of Jan 2024 or maybe 17th of Jan 2024. It is any date. If you want a specific date that your client gives that, okay, we have added a new department and it should be effective this particular date in Workday, please add it as of a specific date. In those cases, you will use the reorganization, you'll create a reorganization effective 17th of Jan 2024. However, if you don't have any specific requirement around when the supervisory org should go live, if the client says that, okay, this is the org that I want, and if you ask like since which effective date you want, so they say, if they say that we have been having this org like from long time, so whenever we access it, it should be available. So in those kind of cases, if it is not determined, or if it cannot be determined in a specific way, you can just say that, okay, so you want this particular list of orgs to be available since like forever, then you will just say 01/01 1900. So this is like a placeholder blank, it's like a placeholder date which dates back to 1900. So whenever you are accessing that particular object, it will be available to you, because we have, even though it is an effective dated object, you are creating it as of 1900. So let us create Amazon reorganization as of 01/01/1900. So I choose this is the effective date. Now I'm going to create a supervisory organization. Now reorganization is just the date object, meaning as of which date I want to create it. Now once I click OK, it will ask me to enter the details of the supervisory organization. So you can see here it has a lot of details. Now I will go through each one of these details one by one as I explain you the concepts. So here is the availability date. So this is the date we put in the reorganization, basically 1/1/1900. This is the date from which the particular Amazon, I'll say Amazon, um, Amazon Development Center. Okay, let's call it Amazon Development Center. And this supervisory orgs availability is from 1/1/1900. Basically, if I try to look for this particular supervisory org in the tenant, you will be able to find this starting 1900. Okay, so starting that date, you can look for that organization, it will be available. Include ID in the name. So basically, if I'm going to put a code here, let's say the code is AMZ 0001. If I have a code like this, and if I select this particular include organization ID in the name, when you create the supervisory org, you will also see the name of the org, and it will also show you the ID of the org. So I will leave it on for now so that you can see how it looks like. So include organization ID in the name, include code in the name, include manager leader name. So basically, once you assign someone as a manager, it will show the name of the manager, it will show the code as well in the supervisory org, and we'll see how it is. The next is the subtype. So basically, organization subtype is used to further classify an organization. So you have a supervisory, you are creating a supervisory organization, and in different companies, let's say in your company, you would want to further classify it. Like these are okay, you have the entire supervisory organization structure. Now, from this particular organization structure, some of these organizations are called departments, some of these organizations are called as divisions. So let's say you want to call some of these as you want to call some of these as divisions, some of so they want to call these as divisions, and some these want they want to call the from anything below this as uh, something else. They want to classify it as departments or divisions. Okay, so if they want to classify the organizations further, they can create something called as subtypes in Workday. So subtypes are like configurable. If you want to create any further classification, so I'll say I want to have departments, administratives, divisions. I can have like multiple subtypes which I can assign on a supervisory organization. If you look into our tenant, there are already a lot of subtypes that are already existing, and if you look closely, there are a lot of subtypes. Look, you see Nokia USA. A lot of these subtypes look custom. So let us see how we can create these subtypes. So I am going to keep this page as it is, and I'm just going to duplicate it so that I can open the Workday screen and start configuring. So this is another thing in Workday, like what you're configuring, it is in this particular tab. I can open the same Workday screen in this tab as well, like you can see here. I can open in another tab this way. Okay, so this is one tab, this is another tab. I can duplicate this tab and I can simultaneously work on different tabs in the same tenant. The only thing is, in one browser instance, you cannot open two different tenants, meaning you cannot have production and sandbox opened in the same browser. Workday will not allow it. One browser, you can only open one tenant. If you still want to open another tenant, just for the sake of comparison, let's say you moved some changes from sandbox into production and you just want to cross validate, look at the config in sandbox and then compare it directly with production. If you want to do that visually, what we usually do is we'll open a browser in incognito mode, and in incognito mode you will log into the other tenant. All right. So now here I'm configuring the supervisory org. Let us configure our own subtypes. So how can we create a subtype in Workday? Now, if you want to look for any kind of a task in Workday, if you don't really remember the task, but you know the term. So I know that when you're creating supervisory org, you came across this particular option called subtype, and you remember your client saying that, hey, I want these specific subtypes to be created in Workday, but you don't know what is a task that you need to use in order to create a subtype. You just have to type subtype, and Workday will show you all the tasks that are available which is related to configuring any kind of a subtype. So go to tasks and reports, and you can see organization subtypes, maintain organization subtypes. You see this particular, let me open it in a new tab. This report will give you the list of all organization subtypes that are configured in the tenant, and you can see that there are multiple, there are about 1289 organization subtypes that are configured. Additionally, if you want to create your own list of subtypes, so here you can configure maintain organization. How do you find subtypes here? Subtype is something, say I opened this to create our own subtype. So these are the subtypes that are already configured in this tenant. You can choose to use this as one of the subtypes, or I want to have my own subtype. So you're not it is a classification. So bikes, let us this is a say this is a supervisory organization. Now you want to classify this into multiple types of organization, like I want super bikes, I want to classify it into super bikes, I want to classify into gearless, I want to classify into 500cc bikes. Okay, all of them are bikes. This is a bike, all of them are bikes, but I want to classify them, I want to categorize them, that these are super bikes, these are gearless bikes, these are 500cc bikes, these are these kind of bikes. Okay, similarly in an organization you will be creating an organization structure. So all this will be supervisory org structure itself. These are all supervisory organizations. However, I want to further classify these organizations. I want to say these organizations are departments. I want to call these organizations as departments. I want to call these organizations as something else, maybe administrative divisions. It's depend from the client to client. So if the client has and you have to check with the client, like what exactly, like how many types of how many different types you classify your orgs. Do you have like, okay, these are departments, these are divisions, these are something else. Okay, so that way you have to check with the client like what exactly you want to classify as. And if the client has already determined that, and this is where you will configure it. Yes, yes, those subtypes are coming from this particular list. This is 1289. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Basically, so in Workday, you can, it's not like these belong to some different supervisory organization. It all belongs to this particular, like if you can use this in your supervisory organizations. So let us configure Amazon. I'll say Amazon India Development Center. I want to configure it only for India. Let's say, oh no, let's not restrict it. Amazon Development Center. I'll say include ID in the code. I'll put it as AMZ00001. Include code in the name, include manager name. Like you said, see, you can use any of these subtypes. Now you might be seeing these many subtypes, and that is the reason this is a training tenant. You are seeing all these subtypes here. But in reality, your client will define like how many subtypes you want to use. Now for this particular case, I want to create my own list of subtypes. I'll say AMZ. I'll define a few subtypes here. I'll call it AMZ Technology Center. I'll say AMZ Division, AMZ Department. Okay, three of them is enough. Now, when you are creating an organization subtype, you also have to link that particular subtype name. So this is a text field. You have to link it to the organization type. Now here I am going to choose supervisory as my organization type because I want to only assign this to a supervisory org. Okay, supervisory subtype, because I want to use these subtypes only in the supervisory org. That is the reason, even though you are saying 1292 subtypes, if I go and look at the list of subtypes, you are not seeing 1292 because not all the subtypes are eligible to be used on supervisory org. You can see this particular Vernas of subtype, it can only be used on these two different types of organizations, or there are some custom organizations, there are some matrix organizations. So not all organizations can be when you are creating a subtype, you have to also specify which organization type will that subtype use. I'm going to limit it to a supervisory org now. So I'll say supervisory. Now if I go and look into our subtypes, you will be able to see Amazon department, Amazon division, Amazon technology center. So I'm going to call this particular supervisory org as AMZ division. Now the visibility is basically who whom do you want to show this particular organization? Should it be visible to every single worker in the tenant? Meaning, if anyone goes and searches for this particular supervisory org, or if they even search Amazon development, they will see this particular supervisory org in the search results. So and there are some options here that are available, like if you want everyone to see it, or if you want to restrict to a certain role assignees, you can restrict it to role assignees and members. So again, this for you to understand role assignees and all, you need to understand a bit of security. So we will revisit it later when we discuss security. For now, I'm just going to select everyone as a visibility, meaning everyone who is going to search for, or anyone who searches for Amazon development, they will be able to find this supervisory organization. External URL, don't worry about external URL. Next is the primary location. So this is the location where the actual physical location of this particular supervisory org. I'm going to give this location as New York. Now, so a lot of locations will already be loaded into your tenant, but you can also create your own locations. Let me see this location. Does it look right? Okay, I'll just use this location. Now, there are few other things that you have to select when you are configuring a supervisory organization in Workday. The next is about the staffing model. We will again revisit staffing models and discuss staffing models in detail. For now, just understand I'm going to choose position management as the staffing model. I'm not assigning any roles. I'm not adding any organization assignments for now, and no identifiers. I'm just leaving everything blank. I'll just create this supervisory org as it is. Now you can see, once you have created the supervisory org, a lot of things automatically is showing up. You can see the organization code is showing, and you are seeing some other details like Ashley James. So this is because we have included the code and the name into the, you can see this is the organization ID. You include organization ID as a part of the name. In generally, no one does this. Very few organizations will do, include these details in the code. So what I'm going to do is I just edit this supervisory org and remove those details. And this is how you edit a supervisory organization in Workday. You go to these three dots. These three dots are called as related actions in Workday. Now, different objects in Workday, if you want to edit it, or if you want to see what are the options that are available for that particular instance. So this is a supervisory organization instance. If I click on these three dots, it will give me the related actions. So what are some of the additional options? And you can see there are a lot of options that are available that you can action upon. So I want to edit this supervisory organization. So this is how you will edit the organization. Go to the supervisory org here, and you can see edit supervisory organization, edit name and code. I'll go to edit name and code here. And here it will ask you, when you are editing the supervisory org, as of which date you want to edit it. Now, the reason it is asking you the date is this particular organizations in Workday are an effective dated instance, meaning whenever you are changing anything in Workday. So okay, let's say you created a supervisory org, and you're calling it as AMZ, and you created this as of 1/1/1900. Now again, you are editing the supervisory org in the month of, let's say, Jan 1/1/2024, 1/1/2024. You are changing this to, let's say, AMZ 123. Now what will happen is, whenever you are searching for this supervisory org as of today, you will see this value AMZ 123. But if you view this particular organization as of, let's say, January 1st 23, you will see the old value, because AMZ is was the value until 31st of December 2023. The value was AMZ, As of 1st of January 2024, you have changed it to AMZ 123. Okay, so this way it is an effective date. Until this effective date, there was one value and then the value changed to something else. Similarly, in Workday, whenever you are changing or whenever you are editing an object that is an effective dated object, you'll have to select the effective date as of which particular date you want this change to happen. Now you can choose a specific date based on your client's requirements, saying as of this particular date I want these values to change, or you can select the existing effective date, and the existing effective date is 1900. So what I'm saying is, hey, this change need to be effective as of 1/1/1900. So basically I'm saying I want this change, I want to see this change from the very beginning. So I want to see this change in the very beginning. So if I'm changing it to Amazon 123, I want to see this change as of 1900, not as of a specific date. From the date it was created, I want it to be created as 123 and not AMC. You understand how the effective date works? It also goes with the names, right? Some people, so today, someone like most females, they do change their surnames post marriage. Some females do. So today someone was Jyoti Iyer, and maybe this year she got married. She is changing her name to Jyoti Srivastava. Huh? So if you look at the date, if you look at this person effective before her marriage date, you will see her name was Jyoti Iyer. As of today, her name is Jyoti Srivastava. So this is how work. This is how the effective date works, and this is the reason we also need the effective dates. Okay, let us go here. I'm going to update these effective 1/1/1900. I'll go here and I'll just remove these options. I don't want to include the organization's name in the ID. I don't want to include the code name. I just want the manager to be shown as well as the organization name. And I click OK. And now let us look at the organization that we have. So it is showing Amazon Development Center, and it is showing Ashley James. And these are the org assignments. These roles automatically got inherited probably. So a lot of these roles, a lot of these assignable roles, it automatically got inherited. So, and that is why you are seeing these names over here. But that is fine. Yeah, once we assign the manager, it will go away. It will show only the manager's name. In real time, you will be asking your you'll ask your client, hey, I want give me the list of. So you will explain what is a supervisory organization. You will explain what are the different organization subtypes and what are some of the feasibilities available, and then you will give them a sheet, a worksheet, and I will be giving you that worksheet for configuration. So I have a worksheet in my local. Once I feel you are ready to start configuring those things by yourself, I will send those worksheets to you and then you can practice it. So those worksheets are the same worksheets that we will give to the clients. So it is from one of my projects. I just scrapped off some of the data and um, I changed the organization names and whatnot. So basically, it's all test data, but even though it is test data, whatever you're seeing in that was is a real-time scenario. Basically what I did, I just changed the names of the organization, I changed the IDs of the organizations, so that anything that will identify a client, I removed it. But rest whatever you see there is something that was a real-time requirement which I have configured quite recently. So I will send you that once, maybe in a few, maybe after a week or something, next weekend. By the end of next week, we should be covering a lot of details in terms of supervisory orgs. So I will send you that so that you can start practicing. All right. So we have created a supervisory org. Now, whenever you are hiring any worker into the supervisory org, you will be seeing those workers in this particular members tab. In the details tab, you will see some additional details about the supervisory organization, like what is the type of organization. You can see the type is supervisory. What is a subtype? We have assigned the subtype as AMZ department. We have assigned a code. What is the visibility of that supervisor and what is the location of that org? The staffing, if you remember, we chose position management as the staffing model, and we also had an option of job management. So there are two staffing models in Workday. One is position management, and then the other is job management. We will discuss the staffing models in detail at a later time. Once we complete the supervisory org. Here is the role assignments. We will discuss more about the role assignments in some time. And then we have security groups, so organization assignments, and additional data. So you might be wondering, a lot of these details are automatically popping up here. So we have not discussed about this company and whatnot. We have not discussed about the security groups. The reason is, and this is what I said yesterday, you cannot learn Workday in a very linear fashion, because you see here, when we configured the supervisory org, a lot of things automatically got assigned and defaulted here based on our the existing configuration. Like the security groups got defaulted. We have a lot of role assignments that are getting defaulted over here. So you need to understand a lot of things, and we have to piece things together when you are configuring things in Workday. And Workday has a lot of touch points with security, it has touch points with compensation, it has touch points with other modules, and you need to understand the impact your configuration does in the different modules in order to clearly understand like what exactly you need to configure, what exactly you need to advise the client when they are approaching a specific requirement. Okay. All right. Now let us also discuss supervisory superior. Now we did see that if I scroll here, we did see that you can create structures like this. Like you can assign a superior organization, you can assign a subordinate organization. So this is a term that you need to understand. The term of superior and subordinate. Let us take an independent organization like this. This is a supervisory organization. Like we just created AMZ, Amazon Development Center, right? This is a supervisory organization. It has no subordinate or superior. If you look at the organization here, it is just a standalone supervisory organization. It does not have any superior org. It does not have any subordinate org. So if you want to create a superior, you can assign a supervisory org here, and let's call it XYZ, or maybe I'll say AMZ Global. Okay, I'm calling it as AMZ Global. Now this is a, if I'm assigning it on top of it, I this will become the superior. This is a, for Amazon D, Amazon Global is a superior org. This is a superior org. And if I assign a subordinate here like this, let's say here I will say Amazon India Development Center. Okay, this is Amazon Development Center. Here I'm configuring Amazon India Development Center. Now, this particular supervisory org will become the subordinate. So for this particular supervisory org, this is a superior org. So this is the superior org, and this is the subordinate org. Make sense? Just going based, I mean, in real time, that doesn't work. That is not how it works. Um, when in real time, it when there is an acquisition like that, because I have worked on acquisitions, that is not how it works. They will determine that, hey, these employees will go to which organization. So when you're acquiring, if PeopleSoft has a certain organization structure, we will not adopt the same organization structure. They will be converted into our structure. I mean, basically, these employees will be added to our existing population, and we might not be changing the org structure, but going purely based on your analogy. Yeah, so we, let's say we have Oracle here, and tomorrow PeopleSoft was acquired by Oracle, so you will have PeopleSoft like this. Okay, and PeopleSoft had a few companies who are under them, and if you wanted, if you You can have these companies like this. Now for these companies here, PeopleSoft is the superior org. These companies don't have any subordinates right now, so PeopleSoft is the superior org, and these companies are the subordinate org for PeopleSoft. For PeopleSoft, Oracle is the superior org, and for PeopleSoft, XYZ, these organizations are the subordinate orgs. For X, PeopleSoft is a superior org. Doesn't mean you understand, right? It's like in the relationships, right? For you, your father, you call your father, you for you. Okay, you have father, you have mother. Okay, so father, let's suppose, is your superior org. Okay, for your child, you are the father. So for your child, you are the superior org. For you, your father is a superior org. For your child, you are the superior org. For you, your child is a subordinate org. You understand the relationship now? For each organization, they have their own superior org and subordinate orgs. Let us create a subordinate org and a superior org for this. So let's say I want to create another supervisory org and assign it as a superior org. So create supervisory org. So you see, I'm configuring another supervisory org called as Amazon Global Development Center. Now, what I want to do is I want to assign this Amazon Global Development Center as the superior to Amazon Development Center. Now, there are two ways to assign it. You can either assign superior or assign subordinate. Basically, if you're going into this particular org, I might want to assign it as a superior. So I can assign superior or I can create a subordinate. So I'll just go ahead and assign a superior here. And you also have to choose an effective date, since as of which particular date you want to assign that particular organization as a superior. Let us take the date as 0101 2023, okay, as a date. And as of this date, I want to assign this supervisory org. So let me take this supervisory org and I'll say that I want to assign this supervisory org, Amazon Global Development Center, as the superior. Now, once I do it, you will see that the superior org for Amazon Development Center is Amazon Global Development Center. If I go to Amazon Global Development Center, you can see that Amazon Development Center is a subordinate to Amazon Global Development Center. I can also create a subordinate org for Amazon Development Center. So this is how you create it. Go to the related actions, navigate to reorganization here and create subordinate. I will give the date. So I'm just going to give this date as 01/01/2023 and I will create this time Amazon India Development Center, and I will choose this time I will choose it as AMZ Technology Center as the organization subtype, and the location I'll choose Hyderabad. Now if you look here, use- okay, in reality you will not see so many Hyderabad's here, and again this is because it is a test tenant. A lot of people are creating a location of Hyderabad, but in reality you'll only see one Hyderabad in your actual work environment. Now whatever value is asterisked like this, these are the required values, meaning you cannot configure Workday without having configured without entering these required values. You have to enter those values. All the other values that you see here are optional values. So here I'll use the organization code as AMZ0000, let's say 3, and I click OK. Now, if you go into the details of Workday, now if you see here, you can see that for Amazon Development Center, Amazon Global Development Center is the superior org, and Amazon India Development Center is the subordinate org. If I go to Amazon India Development Center, you'll see that there are no subordinate orgs for Amazon India. You only have Amazon Development Center, which is a superior org. If I go to Amazon Global Development Center, you'll see there are no superior orgs. We only have one subordinate. What happened? Yeah, we only have one subordinate. Okay. Now you can also see the chart, like the organization structure chart this way. If I go to the related actions of this org, and if I select the org chart over here, Workday will display this in like a pictorial presentation. So you can see that you have Amazon Global Development Center here, and then if I click here, it will open the subordinate organization. So you have Amazon India Development, you have Amazon Development Center, and then you have Amazon Global Development Center. Now, if you have multiple subordinate organizations like this, it will keep filling it out this way. And you can also customize your org view based on if you want to show the open positions, or if you don't want to show open positions, you can choose it. We'll revisit it when we have more people and more organizations configured here, but this is like a general sense about how this organization chart can be used. So once you have everything filled out, the employees can also see the org chart based on where they are currently located, where they can, and who do they report to. They and they can see the entire chart from CEO until them, like how many different levels of reporting are there, from CEO until the topmost, from from the a particular employee to the topmost person in that organization. And not everyone will have access to it. I think the access will again depend. Probably this access will only be available for the administrators and configurators. So this is about the supervisory organization. So basically an organization in Workday is used for grouping resources or workers, or it is basically to group people together. So you will group a number of people as one group, and then you will group it to a specific organization. But in this case, if you want to hire people, if you want to group people based on who do they report to, you will have to group them in supervisory organization. Supervisory organization is one type of organization. Now types of there are multiple types of organizations in Workday. There are organization types called companies. There we have cost center, we have custom organizations, we have grants. So there are a lot of additional organization types in Workday, and we use these organization types to group people together. Now you have hired, let's say you have hired 10 people. Okay. Now these 10 people are from one supervisory organization, but you can have these 10 people, you can assign these 10 people to different cost centers. So you can assign 5 people to one cost center and 3 people to another cost center, and you can have the last 2 people to another cost center. So you can use 3 different cost centers and assign people to those different cost centers. Now if you don't know what a cost center is in Workday, a cost center is basically used for P&L. So your profit, your loss, everything will be calculated in the cost center. You have something called as a company. Company is nothing but the legal entity. Now most companies, most organizations, they are like global companies, right? They are global, meaning they will be available. They are situated, or they have headquarters in different countries. They have in USA, they have headquarters in India, they have headquarters in some countries in Europe, they have in certain countries in Africa. Okay, so it's a big company. Now for each of these headquarters, you need a legal entity, meaning a company that is set up. in USA will not be valid in India because it's legal in USA. You will register a company in USA called as Amazon US. Again, you will register a company in Amazon India. Okay, so you will have to register companies in each country because of the jurisdictional, because this company is only legal if you register a company in that particular country. So that's why it is called as a legal entity. So for India, you will have a legal entity. All the employees in India will be assigned to this particular company. So if you have, let's say, 1,000 employees across the globe, you have 1,000 employees across the globe. Out of this, 250 employees are from USA. You have 250 from India, and you have 500 from, let's say, Japan. You will have to create three legal entities: one for USA, one for India, and one for Japan. Now, what you'll see is when you are hiring an employee, you will assign those employees certain organizations, and that is called as organization assignments. And you will assign one legal entity to USA, and you will assign all the employees in Workday who are getting hired in USA as this particular legal entity to their assignment. So all employees in USA will be having the same legal entity. So all the 250 employees in the USA will be assigned to the same legal entity. All the 250 employees in India will be assigned the same legal entity. Now, even though these employees are all having the same legal entity, these 250 employees might be having different supervisory organizations. You understand? Employees can be grouped together in different ways. All these employees are grouped into different supervisory organizations, but if you report based on the cost centers, all these employees will be reporting to the same cost center, because cost centers are reporting to the same company, because company is a legal entity and there will be only one legal entity in one country. So per country you will have legal entity. Additionally, you can also have legal entity based on different other factors, like you will have one legal entity for your technology division, and then there is a different legal entity that you have configured for your production. So both might work as two different companies in India, but both are part of the same parent company. So it will be like that. You can also configure things in Workday like that, and it purely depends upon how your client would like to configure it. So everything again rolls back to the decision from client. You will just explain that, hey, this is what it is, and then your client will already know, okay, this is a legal entity. Okay, now we have these many legal entities right now, and this is how we would like to configure it. So if you look here, this will make more sense now. You can see that there are, you can see these employees here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These 9 employees are in one supervisory org. Okay. Now from these 9 employees, you can see that only these 3 employees belong to this cost center, and then we have other employees belonging to another cost center. Let me take a screenshot of this. So if you look here, what you see here is, so see these employees, let's suppose I'll again draw one more thing here. I will say these are from supervisory, let's say supervisory Y. Okay, so you have some employees from supervisory Z, and you have some employees from supervisory Y. Change this to red. Okay, you have some employees here. These employees are from a two, so you can see there are two supervisory organizations over here, Z and Y. Now each of these supervisory org, you can see that although these employees belong to two different supervisory orgs, you are grouping these employees under one single cost center. So if you open cost center X, if you open the cost center X, you will see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 members assigned to that particular cost center. If you open the supervisory organization Z, you will see we have 9 employees. If you open supervisory organization, why you see there are 9 employees. If you open region is again another type of organization, and we'll come to that. But if you look at the general analogy, you are grouping these 8 employees under one single region. So maybe these employees belong to different supervisory organizations. Maybe these employees belong to different cost centers. You are grouping them together using different dogs. So organizations are basically used for grouping the employees into logical groups. So there are these many employees who belong to this cost center, and it is independent, meaning there is no dependency saying that, hey, if these employees are not part of your if you have basically, there is no criteria, or there is no dependency that all these employees that are in this cost center should also belong to the same supervisory, or there is no dependency. It is all independent of each other. You can assign people to the same cost center and they can belong to different countries as well. It depends upon how how the company would like to group the people. And there are all these organizations that we have in Workday is for grouping employees. Now we just spoke about cost center, we just spoke about company, but there are many other different types of organizations available in Workday. Let us look at what are those organization types. So if I go into the tenant and look for, let me log in back. So you can see maintain org organization types. So basically, these are the different types of organizations that are available in your tenant. We just looked into supervisory org. Um, and supervisory org is like the absolute basic, so you cannot customize it anymore. You will have to always have the supervisory org. But other than supervisory org, you can have these are the different types of organizations that are available in Workday. We have company. Company is basically the legal entity in a country. Cost center is used for profit and loss. You can have multiple cost centers in your company. Now cost center is depending upon how you want to report your expenses and profits. So every company will have cost centers, and there will be multiple cost centers in companies, and this is used for reporting the profit and loss. So let's say you have a marketing division, you have production, you have human resources, you have consulting, let's suppose. Okay, let's suppose these are different divisions. You might want to create a separate cost center for each of these division like this. Okay, now what happens is, based on the cost center, let's say you have these many employees who are assigned to a specific cost center, and you will charge these employees are paid salaries, right? So salaries all will come under expense. Now this is all financial part, but let's just for sake of understanding, salaries will all come under expenses. Any money that you will make will be, any money that you are generating from sales, we have something called as sales will be one cost center. so ba- so basically you will have different cost center, then you will report the expenses and the profits for each of these cost center. So for every cost center you will have some expenses, some profit, some expenses, some profit, depending upon the type of cost center. Some of these cost centers will have less expenses and more profits. Some of the cost center will have only expenses and no profits. Now what they do is, the company will now do a consolidate all these into one and check overall how much is the expense and overall how much is the profit. Now you need different cost centers to make sure that you are having a perfect audit of all the expenses, and you are able to understand where we are losing money and which particular department is where we are making money, which department is making less money, so that we can increase, we can look at how can we make sure that this particular department makes more money in terms of profits. So this is again all financial part of it, but this is basically for reporting. And cost center is always used for reporting those financial transactions. Now you are not required to configure anything related to this expenses and all. This is all done by the finance consultant. So if you are a finance consultant, They will not only create cost centers, you can create the cost center, but all the other configuration related to cost center, like their tax information and all those expense, all those auditing work, it will be done by the finance consultant. You don't have to worry about as an HCM consultant. But for you, it is important for you to know what a cost center is. Now, location in Workday, you know what a location means. So, location is basically a physical location where you will, where a company is located, or when you are hiring an employee, if you will be giving a physical location for that particular worker. So, locations in Workday are also called as an organization. Basically, you since you are grouping employees, you can group employees based on based on location. So you can see, if you open a location, you can see how many employees are part of that particular location. You are able to group employees in that way. So location is also a organization type in Workday. We have region, we have program. Now, even though you have these multiple types of organizations available, it is not important for you to use, or it is not mandatory for you to use every single organization type when you're configuring anything, when you are configuring your organization. Some of the important ones and mandatory ones are like location is mandatory, cost center can be mandatory, company and can be mandatory, meaning I have not seen any implementation where they are not using a cost center or a company. So they will definitely have a company. They will definitely have a cost center. They will definitely have a location assigned. Anything after that, like they might have a region, they might not have a region. They might have these different organization types, or they might not have these organization types. Now you can also create custom organization type, which we will revisit maybe tomorrow. But you can see that these are the three absolute basic required organization types for any implementation. All the other organization types will depend upon your usage. If you want to use, if you want to further group employees based on these delivered organization types, like if you want to use business unit as an organization type, you can create, you can start using it. You will have to enable it, but if you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it. Every employee will have an employee ID assigned, right? If you go to any random employee, like let's say, I'll just search for some. Tom is a very common name, so I might find some Tom. You see, there is an employee called Tom. You will see this employee has an employee ID. You can assign multiple cost centers. No, you cannot assign multiple cost centers. You can only have one cost center, one company, one supervisory org, one cost center, one company. It will not allow you to have. So if you look here, you see unique. So anything that says unique is yes, meaning you can only have one of them. Location,
Location.
location is not. You can have employee can work from multiple locations. So location is not a unique parameter, but some of like region unique. So it will
Okay.
depend upon the organization type. If the organization type allows multiple assignments, then you can assign. Like if I go to custom organization, you can see that custom organizations, and there are a lot of custom organizations created. See, you have about 588. So custom organizations, you can have multiple custom organizations assigned to a worker. It's not a unique assignment. So you can have like 5 custom organizations assigned. So you go to any of these custom orgs, you'll see this employee is a part of that org because you have assigned this
Got it.
employee 5 custom orgs.
Uh,
Don't take it in a literal way. This is just to give you a conceptual understanding. This is not a real time concept. I mean, when I said
okay.
not
Okay.
a real
Got it.
time, it's just basically to give you an understanding that you see these employees belong to same supervisory org, but these all employees belong to cost center. So basically, to give you an understanding that it is not necessary that all these employees should belong to the same supervisory org in order to be part of a cost center. They can be of different, and you can see employees from different supervisory orgs can be part of the same region like this. These employees, right? These two
Got
employees
it.
are part of supervisory Z, but they are also part of the same region. So in
Got it.
Workday, there is no dependency, and you can group employees into multiple organizations. So position management in Workday is when you you have to first create a position in your supervisory organization. You'll first create a position, and then you will hire an employee into that particular position in Workday. So in position management, you'll have to first create a position, and then you will hire an employee into that particular position. So let's say in your supervisory organization, you want to hire 20 employees. You'll have to first create 20 positions. You have to first define 20 positions, and then you will hire those 20 employees into each of these 20 positions. So in that case, what happens is that you have more control on the positions, and you will have more control in the hiring. Basically, whenever you are uh, whenever we are using position management, let's say there is a requirement to hire like 20 employees. You will first initiate a position creation, and whenever you are creating a position, you can have those positions to go for an approval, saying that the cost center manager should also look at these positions and approve these positions. So cost center manager, let's suppose it's a role in your in that particular customer's organization, who is responsible for maintaining the budgets, because again, cost center will deal with profit and loss, so they will have a specific budget that is assigned to allocated to them, saying that in this particular fiscal year you have a budget of 1 million that you can spend on employees. So all the employees who are assigned to that particular cost center, it will depend upon this particular budget. It should not exceed this budget. So you will be paying salaries based on this 1 million budget that is given to you. So let's suppose all these 20 positions will come under this budget. So for this particular financial year, 2024 financial year, you have budget for all these employees. Okay, suppose you have the budgets, then these positions will be approved. So someone initiates a position creation, the cost center manager will look at the positions that are requested. It will check, oh, yeah, okay, do we have the budget? And this is again internal check, it's not like automated in Workday. They will go and they will know that what is the budget that is allocated to them, and based on that budget they will approve the positions. Once the positions are approved, then you can start hiring the employee into each of these positions, because we have these positions now approved. So in position management, you have a greater control around how many positions are created and how you are planning to hire those employees into positions. Once an employee leaves the position, you can choose to keep that position, like you can keep it open for someone else to go and you can keep it open to for someone else to uh, uh, um, fill that position, or you can choose to close that particular position in Workday. So this is one scenario. Now, job we have another staffing model called job management. Now, when do we in job management, what happens is you don't have to create positions. Basically, you can directly hire an employee into a supervisory org, and Workday will automatically create a position in for that particular hire. So here, let's say if you are hiring 20 employees, you'll have to first create positions like position 1, position 2, position 3. Whereas in job management, you will start directly hiring employees, and Workday will automatically create these positions, position 1, position 2, position 3. Now you might be thinking like, is this a better proposition? Because you don't have to go through the hassle of creating these multiple positions. Rather, it will automatically create positions in Workday. Now this both the scenarios both the scenarios are relevant, but again it will depend upon what the client want to use. Now if the client would like to have a greater control on what positions are created, and even before an employee is hired, you want to first get those positions approved. And for each of these positions you can have a specific restriction, like for let's say out of those 20 positions, I want 10 positions to be hired from Hyderabad, and I want 10 positions from Bangalore, let's suppose. Okay, you can have these restrictions defined at the position level. You can define like position P1 to P10. I want all them from Hyderabad. I only want full-time employees. I want them to be assigned a specific type of job profile. Whereas positions 21 to position position 11 to position 20, I want those employees from only from Bangalore, and I want those employees to be of a specific only full-time employees, a specific type of employees, like I want them to be a specific level. So you can define, you can define all those restrictions at the position level. When it comes to the position management, you have that greater control when it is position management. Whereas in job management, you cannot define things at position level. You will define things at the supervisory organization level, that all employees who will be joining this particular supervisory orgs should be full-time employees, and you can say that okay, they can also be from a specific location. So what happens that whatever, whenever you are hiring an employee, those employees will be from only, you can only hire employee from a specific location, because you have defined those restrictions at the supervisory org level. Now the customers will use job management, especially those customers that have like a that don't have a fixed hiring. Meaning, um, let us take a big business like a logistics business. Okay, let's take a shipping company. In a shipping company, there are different verticals and different departments in shipping company. One of the department is the loading, the department that takes care of loading the shipping containments into the ship and then unloading them. So depending upon season, there are certain seasons like between uh, August to November, there August to December, there is a very high number of shipping containers, especially because there is a lot of festivals around the end of the year. So there are a lot of people sending gifts, or there might be a lot of economics around shipping the goods from one country to another. So basically, let's say there is a lot of requirement for labor at that time. So if you are using in this and you might be requiring maybe at any point in time, you might be hiring some 200 people in one day, or you might be hiring 500 people in one day and then 600 the other day, and these employees will be there for like maybe 1 month, and then or maybe for a week they'll be hired, and after 1 week they won't be hired, but you still want to keep a record of them hiring. It is very impossible for you to do that when you are using position management, because let's say you want to hire 200 employees in a day. You have to first create 200 positions. That position should get approved, and then you will hire an employee into each of these positions. Whereas if you're using job management, you can start directly hiring those 200 people, and Workday is automatically going to create these positions for you. You don't have to specifically define each position. However, if it's a technology company and then I want to make sure that I only have a specific defined number of positions, and I would like to control how many positions are getting created and how many employees are being hired in a specific year, I then in those scenarios I will use position management as a staffing model. I'll show you a demo of both position management as well as job management, and how we can change the staffing model when we are creating a supervisory organization, how these staffing models get inherited into different, when we are creating multiple supervisory orgs, when we are assigning superior, when we are assigning subordinate orgs, how this staffing model is getting defaulted. Will it automatically inherit? And if it inherits, how we can change it, how long and at what how further into the business, I mean, once I start using supervisory org, can I change it in the future? So all that we will discuss.